Welcome to ReBloom, the podcast about reinvention, second chances, and rising into the next chapter of your life. I'm your host, Vanessa Bright, entrepreneur, environmental leader, and someone who believes it's never too late to grow into who you're meant to be. If you're rebuilding, rediscovering, or reclaiming your power, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
Hello, ReBloomers. Today we have as our guest Shay Cook. Shay is the founder and CEO of Crusaders for Change. Welcome, Shay.
Hi, Vanessa. How are you today?
I'm great.
Good.
So, Shay, I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got passionate about the work that you're doing around financial literacy. Shay and I met several years ago. We were both doing some volunteer work as a financial counselor and for military personnel, and we were at a special event, and we just stayed connected.
We sure did, and then found out we lived right up the street from each other.
Exactly.
But yeah, like Vanessa said, I'm Shay Cook, CEO and founder of Crusaders for Change. So we help people get out of debt, improve their credit, and save through financial counseling, coaching, classes, and consulting. I've been doing this for a very long time, over 20 years. I'm an accredited financial counselor, financial fitness coach, but my team of accredited financial counselors are doing many things, helping people in many different industries and arenas, really individuals and couples, people that are out in the community, whether it's rehab, domestic violence shelter, homeless shelter, reentry. I've done some work with Vanessa and Maryland Reentry and Resource. And also financial wellness programs, offering that to senior care facilities and much more, which we'll talk about. But how did I get passionate in this? Really started with God, I really believe. And back when we were stationed in Turkey, I'm a military spouse. My husband's Air Force, retired. And God was like, one day just hit me up and said, and my spirit just felt it say, you're going to help my people with their finances. And I was like, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to be a psychologist. I actually was finishing up my master's in psychology, and I wanted to work with people in work life, deal with mental health issues. But the long journey ahead, God had another plan, and I've worked financial readiness for the Air Force, for the Army, for the Coast Guard, now for my own business since 2016. We're going on 10 years.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Well, you said you wanted to be a psychologist, but isn't there a psychology around the way that we all deal with money and the way we think about money? So you want to share how you see that connection?
And in the beginning, I did not realize that. I mean, I'm here studying behavior and getting a bachelor's and a master's and studying people's behaviors around all different kinds of things. And then when I pushed into, my spirit has moved me into finances and helping people with their personal finances, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, there is totally a connection there. There's a synergy. That makes sense when the way people behave with their money really affects them. So I can come in from that behavioral aspect and help them change that behavior. I always tell people that as an accredited financial counselor, really what I specialize in and what I make sure my team specializes in is helping people change their behavior, their mindset, and deal with money trauma.
And what do you start with first when you're working with a client?
Oh, start with the why. Start with what's your core values. Start with what's important to you, which is your values, and then go from there, whether it's spending issues, money management, debt, credit, savings, all the like. There is a lot going on behind the scenes. And I actually start with, what did you learn when you were a kid? What did you see your parents, your providers, whoever was taking care of you? What happened in your relationships? Because that really can influence your behavior around money.
Right, definitely. So you work with people of all ages, or do you specialize?
I do. So I do specialize mostly women over 30 and 40 and 50. So I love when you've got this. I was like, that is my ideal client. We go into this. We've done schools, libraries, work with teenagers. We actually got a contract starting with Prince George's County, going into the schools with the teenagers, teaching them there as well. So we help the gamut, but really, I mean, I'm a 47-year-old woman, but I help with everybody. But yeah, usually it's around the 30, 40, 50, even some 60-year-old women that are like, I'm almost going to retire and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. And so when you reach the age of 50, you start thinking a little differently about your money. And some people go into a panic. So since you do work with people that are 50 and older, what do you see as the biggest fear, the biggest concern that they have at this point in their life when it comes to money?
I didn't prepare. I have a lot of debt. I didn't save enough. I didn't invest. I was always taking care of everybody but myself. That is the common thing. is really, I was worried about everybody else. I was taking care of the kids, the grandkids, this family member, mom and daddy. You know, we're in the sandwich generation. A lot of people are taking care of their parents. And I didn't really think about what this is going to look like for me. So thinking maybe my kids would take care of me and all of that, right? But that's not always the case because they're struggling. But usually we have women come in to Crusaders for Change and they're really like struggling, like, I have no savings. I didn't really invest. I maybe dibbled into the 401k, 403b IRAs, but I don't have enough.
So are these women typically divorced, widowed, or are they in relationships and they have a spouse that's, you know, part of their savings?
That are feeling that way are divorced and widowed. Okay. Yeah, or single and never married. Okay. So yeah, usually there are some those that are couples that are been in a partnership or been married, and they have that, how I say, kind of false security with their husband because they don't really know what's going on, or because they really haven't been involved, or they have. But yeah, most of the people that are calling us because then at that age, you know, if they have a partner, you don't want them to know that they're feeling that way. But yeah, usually they're single, divorced, or widowed.
So we're gonna start with that dynamic first. What is the advice? Because if a person comes to you, they feel like, oh, I don't have enough time. How do you start working with that person? What do you do?
Reassuring them that, hey, you start from today. It's okay. There's a lot of shame and guilt around that and around money, period. Right. And no matter what age you are. But there's a lot of shame and guilt around, I'm 50, I'm 60, and I haven't really done much. And it's like, okay, well, we don't know how much time God has planned, but we're going to go ahead and start from today. And we're going to try to help you in any way we can, whatever the issue may be. Maybe they want to go straight. We're not financial advisors. Right. We're counselors. So to make that very clear, we don't provide advice in terms of investing, insurance. We do educate A to Z, budgeting, investing, and statement. We can educate on that as counselors, but we're not going to advise you which fund to put in, what insurance plan to go with. But we are going to educate you on that and make you feel comfortable because they are scared. And let me say this: a lot of men are scared of investing too. They just, they got that bravado and they're like, I got this. No, because I know I'm not going to call people, but older men in my family that are in their 60s and 70s, watch the mic, that are like, I invested, but it was so conservative. Right. Like they're in a TSP, just G fund, or I'm just in a very modest, very conservative IRA. I'm like, okay, well, you ain't really made no money off of this market in the last 30, 40 years. So, that's the education and knowledge piece that's missing. So I would say when they come in and they're feeling that way, I'm like, let's breathe. It's going to be all right. We're going to figure this out.
So what would you say? You are not an advisor, and that does take a special licensing from that. So everybody needs to stay in their lane and in their scope of practice, which is great because there are people out there that want to advise people and they really don't know what they're talking about. So we had to be careful about that. Not to mention all the scams that they're out there with finances. But when a person comes to you, you talk them through the guilt and the shame, and you got them to a point where they can put that behind. Where do you start? What's next? What's the first thing you want to do with them?
Not to give away too much of the milk for free, as my mama would say. But in all seriousness, really looking at, let's start at your spend plan, your budget, whatever your money, how much money you got coming in and got going out. As you know, Vanessa, a lot of people don't even know how much they got coming in or what's going out. They're monitoring that bank account online. I'm like, all right, I'm good for now. And, playing that kind of game in my quote there, but they just really having a clear understanding how much income. I'll give an example. I was helping a lady, 65, about to retire literally within the year. And I was like, we need to sit down and understand how much is coming in. And then let's talk about all of the money that you might have, like in a pension, not even a pension or Social Security, all the different streams of income that is going to be coming in. And then we found out she had some 401ks and some other places that she forgot about that we're going to try to roll together. And, it's just like once we sat down and really understood how much she would be coming in after she retired, she started to breathe a little different. It was like, okay, I might be okay. But then we look at the debt, we look at the expenses. A lot of people, they're worried about their quality of life is going to go down when they retire because they're not going to be able to afford a big house if they still have a mortgage or the nice car. So we need to start talking about that. What do you want to have in retirement? What are your goals and all of that? So really, I think number one is starting after we get you past that. All right, I'm going to let go of the shame, this guilt. I'm going to learn some things working with a counselor or whoever, learn on my own, is really understanding and money out. And I think that's so basic and people don't know. They don't know.
And people get those statements and they put them in a drawer like the problem is going to disappear. So the first part, key, we're starting from the date today. We do that with our clients. Good. So, working with reentry population, there's a lot of guilt and shame around that. So it's the same concept that we're telling you can't go back and change what you did not do or what you did. So you have to start from this day forward. And so that's a mindset change. So once we get, people there, it's the same with the money. And then knowing where you are.
Exactly.
Like in inventory. I mean, they have to do the same thing. What skills do you have? What interests you? What do you want to do? And start setting goals. So the processes are very, very, very similar.
Very.
So let's talk about the woman that's married and has no idea what her husband is doing.
Yeah, that's
how do you walk around that? I know that's kind of eggshell, but how do you walk around that, or even advise women? I mean, I grew up in a household where my mom actually kind of control the money. I know that's a different dynamic because her age. My mom is 96, so I know that's a very different dynamic.
Yeah, she's the silent generation.
But she was,
she wasn't silent. Huh?
She and my dad had a business together.
Oh, okay.
She was the frugal one. He was the like to spend one. They balanced each other out.
Oh, good.
But she always knew, and so of course that was instilled in me that I always knew what's going on with the money. But for those women out there who have allowed a part, and maybe it's the man, it could be the same thing, because there's some men that don't know what's going on, and then when the spouse passes, then what happens?
Yeah, I saw that a lot in working for the military. When they're deploying, they're going in temporary duty, they're going into the war, whatever it may be, they're leaving the house for an extended period of time. The spouse is sitting there; they have no clue. And like you said, it could be man or woman. It's generally a woman. And so, really talking to them, like, we got to have some conversations with your spouse before they go on this trip or wherever. And if they're civilian, they're not even in the military, we need to bring your partner in. And one of the things I enjoy most with financial counseling is couples counseling. Not only because I've been married 27 years, but also because I've just been helping couples for so long, especially in the military. We need to bring your partner in here.
Right.
We really do. There's no other way around that. After we get you past all that and then we do your money, if this is a joint partner, this is a partnership or a relationship that you want to grow and bloom. I love that. And prepare for, what's going to happen. We're all going to die one day. We need to bring them in. So that's where I start having those conversations, dropping those little nuggets. All right, so when is your partner coming? When is your husband coming? We need to have them in here. Even if you didn't pay for couples counseling, I usually offer like one session, bring them in. Let's go. Let's come on in here. Let's have a conversation. So we can, see where everything is. Because I have so many stories. When I was in Omaha, Nebraska, I remember somebody's husband passing away and they're coming in and not having access to the bank account.
Right.
And they didn't even put him on as a beneficiary. And there's nothing you can do. Then you got to go through the estate. You got to go through all of that. And it's hell. And so you really need to be able to share. And I know people are going to have stuff on the side. They're going to hide accounts and all that. But you got to at least have one joint account that you're sharing, even if you don't use it all the time together, but something that you can have access to. There's many different tricks to the trade, but still, I feel for those women that don't have access, don't have understanding of what's going on. It's a power struggle too. So it's a lot to go through that. Yeah.
Right. And that's outside of our scope on the on some of that counseling. But I mean, I do believe, and I'm a single person, but I do believe for a relationship to thrive, whether it's your business partner, your friend, or whomever, you thrive better together.
Yes.
And so if you come together and set those goals together and you're working toward a common goal, I mean, the relationship is going to be more successful. I believe your finances will be more successful.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's switch up and talk about the C word, or the D word, which gets a lot of people in trouble: credit and debt. And so explain the difference first, and then what are some tips?
The difference between credit and debt.
Yeah.
There's many. Well, I mean, I'm thinking my mind always goes to business now, but taking credit cards, getting some kind of line of credit, whether it's a personal loan, a house, the car, student loans, there's all these different lines of credit to be able to utilize somebody else's money. I'm just
Right.
going to say, financial institutions' money to purchase something, right? But then as you have that open line of credit, but then now you start spending, and you buy that house, you buy that car, you get those student loans. Now you owe that debt. You are in debt. You're a debtor to the lender, as in the word, right? And in the word where I come from, Christianity, we don't want to be a debtor to
be the head, not the tail.
Exactly. But unfortunately, in this world, and especially in America,
Yes.
there's other religions that don't believe in it at all. And I study religion, so I know that we are debtors. We are to the lenders. And so there's a lot of debt. That's why when I was thinking of the tagline for Crusaders for Change years ago, I was like, what are the 3 things people? And I say, get out of debt, improve credit, save, because almost everybody that comes to me has some kind of issue with debt. And there's shame around it. It's a lot of tax debt, student loan debt, every debt. And so having a good understanding of that is key. So thank you for asking that question. But then how to deal with that. And then there's deeper. As financial counselors, we're going to go deeper because we're like, why did you accumulate? I mean, I understand you got to get a house. You got to live somewhere. And you can even go deeper than that. Why did you buy that big old house you can't afford? And the same with the car. And even student loans. I mean, that's supposed to be the good debt, right? To help you advance in the world. But then when we get into the credit card debt, it's disturbing. And especially now, I think there's trillions of dollars in this country in debt with credit cards.
I mean, even with, what people used to say, good debt, bad debt. I mean, did you really have to pay for that private school education when you're fine? It's not going to change your career or it may change your career. It's not going to change how much you earn, your earning power.
But Vanessa, I just want to give my kid a good footing in the world. What are you talking about right now?
So for example, I have a social work degree. So if I get my social work degree from the University of Maryland, or if I go to Harvard, my income potential is going to be the same for a social worker, which is not a high earning potential. So a lot of times people, even with the good debt or what we define as good debt, they're really making unwise decisions.
And I was thinking of
changing your income potential.
Exactly. And I was thinking not even college. I'm thinking about, I know people that pay 20, 30, 40,000 a year for a private secondary school, high school, middle school. So, and some of them can afford it, many can't. But they're like, I want to give my child the best future that they can. And then you're right, even with college, like, do not downplay community college.
Right.
I wish somebody had talked to me about community college, because I would have went to community college first. But the first 2 years that I was at UMBC, I was in a club. Because I had a very strict father. I had getting all the credit cards and I was spending all the money. Nobody told me. And if I went to community college, I wanted to save the $60,000 in loans that I had to pay back.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have debt, and I know that could be a conversation.
Oh, that's a whole
episode. It could be a whole episode by itself, and that's why Shay is going to give you her information after this. But are there any particular tips? Once we've assessed where we are and what we have, what is your strategy? Because I know everybody has a different strategy. Pay off the high interest cards, pay off the one with the smallest balance for different
Avalanche,
reasons.
all these different things. Is really sitting down and saying, like you said, do you want to pay it off fast, or do you want, because it's a long journey.
Right.
It's a long game to paying off debt. Do you want to pay it off, try to save on interest, or like you said, we want to just take our time and we're going to pay off one, we're going to roll that money into the other one, pay off that one, roll the money into, so we can do that kind of things. So I always assess I'm going to have the client make that decision.
Right.
Because what's important to them? Do they want to see that number go down fast?
Yeah, I like to see the number go down.
Yeah. So
that inspires me.
It inspires a lot of people. But for me, I wasn't inspired by that because it was still debt. So I was like, I need to make sure that every student loan I had $65,000 in student loan debt. Once I started paying, 3 years later, it was paid off. Why? Every bonus I got when I was working for the federal government, every tax return, everything, I threw it
to pay it down.
I got up to about $1,500 a month paying that thing off. I was like, I'm done. I don't want this anymore. I'm going to sacrifice. My husband like, you ain't buy no clothes in years. You ain't did nothing. I ain't bought a car. I had the same old car for 10 years. I literally was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I can make that sacrifice. I am an extremist. I can do that. Not everybody can do that. You got to start slow. So we're going to work with them to see what works best with them. There's many different programs. I love Power Pay and all that kind of stuff, but you're going to see what works with them, because you got to get people motivated and you got to have them be consistent and accountable.
It's almost like playing games with yourself to
figure out what works.
To make it fun, I I mean, some people, it could be, don't get that Starbucks coffee every morning.
But is that realistic? That's been in the news a lot lately in the last few years. They're like, don't say that to somebody. Why? Because then they'll be like, if you don't take that away from me, I'm just going to find something else to replace it with. So let's be real. If that's your thing, be your thing. I mean, I'm a curd girl. I'd rather just make it at home. That's so much cheaper. but some people can't do that. They really
I can't because I don't cook. So
then why
that doesn't work for me.
So thank you. So why would I go tell you that? And then you looking at me like, she don't understand me. I do understand you. Go get that coffee, go get that food, and then we'll find it somewhere else.
But different things work for different people.
Yes.
So some people can make that sacrifice and make their coffee at home.
That's me.
I don't have to have the newest car, the newest TV, the newest clothes. I can make my sacrifices there because that's not a big deal to me. But I'm not cooking. I've tried it. It's like nowhere.
I fell in love with cooking. But yeah, it was for the first, especially in my marriage, man, the first 20 years. So the only 7 years, I ain't even been cooking 7 years. I made enough just to get by. I had a daughter, made sure she had to eat, but there was some days she was just eating hot dogs and applesauce because I was or one of them meals, put it in the microwave because I didn't want to cook.
So bottom line, you had to do what works.
You have to do work. And there's so many techniques that work, and we're going to figure out what works for a client. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about retirement because when you're 50 plus, you're getting close to that retirement age. And I know there are catch-up provisions and different things that you can do with your 401ks and IRAs. But if a person's behind or they don't have much, what do you suggest to that person?
We need to start having some real conversations. I mean, if you're 50, you're still going to work another 20 years. You might be good because a lot of people, unfortunately, in this economy, people are working to the 75. My dad just retired. He was 73. He worked 50 some years. I mean, so people working to their 80s and 90s. Unfortunately,
my mom worked to her 90s, but because she loved her job, she didn't have
I think retirement needs to be redefined.
Right.
I think we might need to cancel that word because or just say it depends on the individual. Everybody's retirement looks different. If you're trying to retire at the normal age of 63, 67 based off Social Security, then we need to have, and you're 50, we need to have some conversations. You got 13, 17 years. We're going to need to start. And again, I'm going to refer you out to a financial advisor, or I'm going to teach you what investing is, not to how, but what it is. So you can make decisions on maybe I need to start cutting back on some things, or maybe you got some money in your house or in some other assets that you didn't even realize and you can utilize that, or you got a really good insurance policy and you'll find, for you when you pass or even before that. It's building up cash value. So there's a lot of different things, but we need to have a conversation what does that look like? What does retirement look like? That's the biggest thing I'm seeing with retirees now. It's they still got the same house. Some of them got mortgages on them, like I said, and then they want to travel or they don't want to travel. They just want to participate in church or be in a community or something, an activist organization, but they might have to go get a part-time job after they fully retire because they can't afford the groceries right now or the insurance right now.
But I think the way we're wired in this country is when we retire and have no work to go to, a lot of people can't even.
A lot of people die.
Can't handle just not working. So I don't know
we're wired that way.
Yeah, I don't know that part-time is such a bad word for somebody to do after
I'm looking forward to it. I hope my business is growing and great and still, and I'm just going to be coming in every 3 months. I'm going to be on an island somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I also think about, I have a hustle spirit. So I always think about that side income, that side business, something else that you can do to earn money. And with this AI economy, I mean, there's a whole lot of things that we weren't able to do before.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had a guest on that, he kind of spoke to that.
Oh, good.
So I'm a big fan.
Oh, that's good. Hey, we need to take advantage. I just heard somebody say, they were scared of the PC. And now they're scared of AI. We better take advantage of that before it take advantage of us.
Exactly. So we talked about retirement. We talked about budgeting. We talked about credit. What about a little bit about estate planning? And I know people think estate planning, you have to be rich to plan an estate. But if you have assets, you have to have a plan for those.
If you have children,
you have to have a plan
that are still young.
Right, you have to have a plan for that. So what are just some basic things that people need to make sure that they have in place when it comes to that?
And I'm not an estate planner or a lawyer or anything like that, so please connect with one if you need it. But, we're talking, again, I'm a military spouse, but before my husband been on deployment or anywhere, we had to have the wills together. We had advanced directives together. I had to make sure I had a guardian for my child if something happened to both of us. Insurance is a part of that plan. Just my mom and dad are going through this now, making sure the trust is set up, making sure there's a trustee, you know, because they got 3 kids and who's going to manage it. I've gone through this a lot with a lot of friends who, you know, they got multiple siblings and nobody's really involved and mom and dad are gone. And now who's going to take care of all of this? Right. And so just having those basic plans, they're all online. Most of them are free. You can go and learn about, you know, the wills, advanced directives. You've been in the hospital and, you know, you don't want to be on life support. You better let somebody know, you know, so that's a part of estate planning. I mean, people don't understand. It's a whole package of things that it takes some effects, because if you're sitting in a hospital, who's going to be taking care of your assets or your rent or
like
your
power
mortgage,
of attorney,
power of attorneys
right,
and all of that? Exactly. So not only, like I said, the directive is more for your health, but even the power of attorneys for your finances. So you need to have all those documents in order and in a place that somebody can access. My daughter knows where those resources are. And I've actually told my parents and my family, like, this is where these documents are in case something happens to my husband and I. So, you know, you really need to, and that is something that we don't talk about, especially if I may say in the Black community. I mean, because they're, like you said, they're like, oh, what do I say that guy? Maybe we need to cancel it, staying saying your belongings, what you own.
Or if you talk about it, you're gonna just drop dead. I mean, I don't know. It's a little superstition around that. Yeah.
You know, no, that's God's plan, y'all. So no, that's not gonna happen. I mean, or it may be, but guess what?
It's not because you talk
exactly. About the will. And guess what? If you take care of yourself, you might feel a little more comfortable talking about it.
But in the state of Maryland, I know that they do have those things online. They have templates for wills. They have templates for because I've used them all. They have the health proxy. You can get that, and we'll make sure that we have those links for the audience. Yeah. So, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think we should talk about? Because I have one more thing that I want to ask you about.
No, I think it really is. The only thing I can add, and we kind of already touched on this, is, it's okay to talk about money. It's okay to just have real conversations, and if you are really struggling, anxiety, depression, go get some mental health. There's nothing wrong with having a mental health therapist, social worker, whoever to help you, your pastor, your best friend, or somebody who's wise in your family to talk to, because we do not talk about it enough. I just said it on my podcast, Yahweh's Money, that people will talk about sex, religion, and politics before they talk about money. So we need to do it better.
And there are some therapists that actually will,
financial therapists,
talk on that subject. Yeah. So what about the single woman?
Yes.
So the single woman, you have your stuff, your assets, and your children. Then you go and marry the single man that has his assets and all his, his stuff in place. How do you protect yourself in those situations, those second marriages, third marriages, whatever they may be? Because you are, supposed to become one, but you don't want to be foolish. So how do you stay prudent?
You need to have those conversations earlier on before you say I do. First of all, like, are we trying to really come together, or we always going to keep stuff separate? And then as we start from marriage on, that will be joint, right? You need to have those real conversations. I mean, that's why people get prenuptial agreements and stuff. And I'm hearing people that ain't got nothing to get prenuptial. I'm like, really? But I guess so, to protect your name. It might be protect your brand or something like that. So people that don't really have a lot, millions of dollars, are getting those now. So it comes down to communication, as you know. You need to have a conversation with your partner and say, I got this. I mean, even down to, this is my credit score. This is how much debt. I get a lot of people that get remarried or married, but remarried. And they're like, I didn't know so-and-so had all this debt. I did not know that. Like, you need to have these conversations. And now guess what? If he's out of a job, he loses his job, he gets sick, who's going to be responsible? Now you're a partner. If you're not responsible because it's not in your name, it's still going to affect your household because it's his name, and now he got to pay. It's going to go to collections, or she. I'm not going to just put it on the he. So there's all types of situations where you need to go in protecting yourself, but also communicating.
Right. Yeah. And I know they tell younger folks that know all these things, but the 50-something-year-olds, we need to know the baggage and all the stuff with the other person as well. I mean, we need to have those conversations.
All these student loans, tax debt, and stuff,
and have those goals, or how we even want to spend money, or how we feel about money. I think we need to have those conversations.
Exactly. Because they might be, like you said, usually it's saver, spender. Somebody's one or the other. And then you're like, no, I'm going to say this. Well, I'm trying to go to Paris. No, well, I got to, so you got to have these conversations.
Yeah. So last question, as all I guess is, this is, ReBloom.
Yeah.
So what is reblooming in your life right now?
What is reblooming? I didn't prepare for that.
Any change going on with your business, with your personal life?
God is good all over, and really is probably more of a physical, spiritual, mental change. I go through these cycles that I'm so all into the business or so all into the family. As a woman, we take care of everybody else sometimes, most times, than we do ourselves. And I'm finally like, all right, I need to get this temple in order. God got me this. So what's ReBlooming? I'm losing the weight. I'm trying to get healthy and all that kind of stuff again. But Crusaders for Change is growing. We got an event coming up on May 1st. So I don't know when this is coming out. That might be too late for that. But
no, I'm going to want to have you share all that.
Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that. And so, but ReBlooming is really connecting. I've always been connected to God. It's just really understanding this temple and that I need to take care of.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you in case they're interested in financial counseling. And also about your funny bone.
Yeah, tickle my money bone. Yeah, money bone. Play on funny bone.
Yeah, tickle my money bone.
So you can follow us pretty much on IG, LinkedIn, and Facebook at Crusaders 4 Change, and I might say Crusaders for Change LLC in some of the platforms. We have a YouTube as well, Crusaders 4 Change. We have the podcast Yahweh's Money, where we talk about religion and money, the crossroads of those. So that is Yahweh's Money, and that's on all podcast channels. But our event coming up on May 1st is Tickle My Money Bone, a comedy and financial empowerment event. So for now 6 years, we've been bringing in, before just regular old people to talk funny and stuff, but now we have real professional comedians that come in and just try to take the stigma away about talking about money. So I just love it, but it's an experience. So we have drinks and mocktails and bites and DJ, and then we have the comedy hour, and then we have after party. So that's in Baltimore, May 1st. That's on our website, Crusaders4change.org, or www.c for Crusaders 4 C for change.llc.
Yeah, so if you're feeling a little anxious about the money topic, that would be a good event to go to and kind of take the pressure off.
Exactly. And if you just need help personally, reach out. We offer a free 15-minute clarity call where we'll assess your situation, tell you how much the services are, what that looks like, and then hopefully help you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being a guest today. And to my audience, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time, but keep on ReBlooming.
Love that.
Thank you for spending this time with me on ReBloom. If this conversation spoke to you, share it with someone else who might be ready for their next chapter. And remember, reinvention doesn't mean starting over, it means starting wiser. Until next time, keep growing, keep rising, and keep blooming.